Hey guys, it's Jolie, and as I mentioned in a previous video, September is Chronic Pain Awareness Month. Now it's also Interstitial Cystitis and Pelvic Pain Awareness Month. So the official color for awareness for these things is teal. So I have a whole lot of teal on my eyeballs for you today, and I will be showing you how I did this shortly. However, first we're going to answer the burning question of what the heck is interstitial cystitis? Alright, so to answer that question, I'm going to start out with the Mayo Clinic definition of interstitial cystitis. And it says, interstitial cystitis, which I cannot speak, also known as IC, which will make this a lot easier and I'll stutter less. Yay. Interstitial cystitis is also called Painful Bladder Syndrome, which is technically what they think I have right now. We'll get to that. Is a chronic condition in which you experience bladder pressure, bladder pain, and sometimes pelvic pain, ranging from mild discomfort to severe pain. Yeah. That still sounds like a mouthful that nobody can understand. But in a nutshell, it's a condition where you basically get nerve pain in your bladder area and your pelvic area, sometimes your low back, caused by the fact that in a lot of cases there's like a breakdown of the bladder lining, and so your nerves are exposed. They've recently switched it. The current urologist I have says they recently switched it so it's only IC officially if you have the ulcers on your bladder. I do not. So that means I technically have Painful Bladder Syndrome, which is basically the same dang thing except with no ulcers but all the same symptoms. So it is a very interesting condition. Interesting meaning sucky, but also it's one of these things that's so different for every person that has it that I could not possibly sit here and like have a definitive definition for you. I can tell you what it's like for me and what I've experienced and what I've been told. So for me, IC tends to be a lot of spasms in the bladder. They feel kind of like PMS cramps or kind of low back pain, or it also has spasms in the urethra, which I'm going to tell you this bit is TMI right now. You might want to la 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 for like 20 seconds if you really are squeamish, which basically, yeah, your urethra contracts and basically makes you feel like you're about to pee yourself even if there is nothing in your bladder whatsoever. And the other symptom I tend to have when I have a flare is it doesn't burn when you go to the bathroom like it would with a bladder infection, but it does like almost have shooting pain, nerve pain is basically what it is immediately after. So you finish up and it just zaps you and it's like, who the heck just hit me with electricity in my crotch? Like, seriously. Ah! So, I actually, to me, I think the worst symptoms are those freaking bladder spasms because they just keep happening and it's really hard to get them to go away. There's a couple methods we can use. I'll tell you that real quick in a minute. But, yeah, I mean, when that happens to me, my brain shuts down because you can't really think of anything else. Because, you know, even if you can, like, I can physically tell if my bladder's not full, but it'll still be like feeling like I need to go right now. And it makes your brain like, if I'm having that full on, forget it. I'm out of commission. Don't ask me to do anything. I'm pretty much going to curl up in a ball. That's all I'm doing. It's just a nasty, nasty condition that just, it's very life limiting. It's very stressful for me to go somewhere if I don't know where and if there's a bathroom. Road trips until I know them. Like, we go a couple places that I'm comfortable with because I know where the rest stops are. Same thing as like, I'm sure people think that these cross-country road trips are great. Please just put me on a plane because there's a potty. Like, it's not that I'm impatient, but there's a potty. Like, you feel like a toddler. That's like your single-minded thing. Anyway, just it makes life difficult. It can make holding certain jobs difficult because, you know, sometimes there's lots of places where you only get scheduled break times or whenever, you know, it's convenient for managers or whatever, and it's just not possible. And so it's like you can't hold those kind of jobs. My symptoms are very strongly tied to stress, which is a really lovely thing because I get stressed out because I have these bladder symptoms, which then makes it worse, which then gives it, and it just goes round and round and round, this freaking circular feeds on itself. I think my husband calls it the feedback loop. It's just like, oh. So, yeah, it's just like you have anxiety triggers. A lot of people have diet triggers. I thought I had diet triggers, and I still kind of pay attention to what I eat because acidic foods, basically because your nerves are exposed, you know, things that normally wouldn't bother a person's bladder or wouldn't unless they had like a ton of it, really bothers someone's bladder if they have IC. So, acidic stuff, coffee, alcohol, citrus, spicy food, stuff like, you know, tomato-based things. Certain nuts are better. You know, they have an official IC diet, and then it's like really stark, and it's like white carbs and plain like chicken, and it's like it is a terrible for you diet. You know, you sit there and eat rice and plain pasta, and, you know, carb out and feel disgusting, and nothing has flavor. So for a long time, I thought that was a big problem, and I have a little bit of a coffee addiction, and I still only keep it to 1 cup, but, you know, for forever. And it used to really confuse me because I'd go months and months where these things wouldn't bother me, and then all of a sudden I've had these flares, and then I'd cut everything out of my diet, and I couldn't get them under control, and I couldn't get them under control. And so now my urologist is like, well, you may not be, like, food triggered. And it's like, well, that's fantastic. That tells me nothing. So, yeah, it's just, it's one of these things, it is a tough condition to live with. People don't necessarily understand it, and you become the crazy friend who has to pee all the time. And, you know, it's very difficult to have a social life sometimes when you're dealing with that. You do learn to adapt and, like, know where you can go and what you can eat and all this and kind of prepare, but sometimes it sneaks up on you. You know, sometimes if I overexert myself, because it is nerve pain, and it can be external nerve pain too, because I have been noticing with my back pain and my tailbone injury that when that was flaring, so was my IC. And it's like, really? Because this is exactly what happens is I'd hurt my back, my IC would flare, I'd get stressed about both of those, which make the IC flare more, and then on top of that I would stop being able to sleep because all these things are happening and I'm in pain, which then makes me even more prone to everything else, and it's like a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare. And people sometimes hear it and they're like, so you have to pee a lot, who cares, come out anyway. I'm like, no, I'm gonna be in my corner. So yeah, there are a number of things that you can do. Me personally, I always have the azo, the bladder, it's bladder infection stuff, but because it has a pain medication, like especially if you're having spasms, it can cause things to calm down. But the problem with that is you have to flush it through with a lot of water, so then you have the frequency on top of everything else. There's a stuff called Pre-Leaf, which is like an antacid you take right before eating that kind of neutralizes some of the acids, so that can help. I have marshmallow root, and I have marshmallow root in capsules and marshmallow root in a tea, which is another thing that sounds a little like, you know, hocus pocusy, but it makes sense because like when you have like the marshmallow, it's not like the candy marshmallow. This is not eating candy. This is the like root of the plant, and it makes this mucousy like substance, and so it coats and it kind of like fakes it out like it's an actual bladder lining that kind of protects you. And like if you make the tea bags, like it's not just a claim, like you pick up that tea bag, it is slimy. It really is. It's kind of disgusting. Fortunately it doesn't feel slimy going down, but yeah. So I have that. I can take painkillers. I have to rest. I have to chill out. I have my initial freak out usually, and then I have to just kind of focus on treating. A lot of times you just have to distract yourself and deal with it. So That is, in a nutshell, what I have and how I handle it. I would highly suggest, if you think just from symptoms that you might be having this problem, get a urologist referral, and if you can, what is it? ICA. Is that ICAwareness.com? They have a listing of doctors who specialize in it, because some urologists, I mean, you go in, especially as a female, and they're basically like, we fix prostate stuff and erectile dysfunction. What are you doing? And it's like, I have this thing. Oh, well, there's this one medication. There's one medication that exists for it. Although they try other things. Like, I'm on antihistamines for it, which may or may not be helping. I have no idea. But yeah, so you need to find a doctor who's like, oh yeah, I've heard of this, and it's this and this and this, and based on your symptoms, this and this. And so I'll give you the website that has like the doctor listings for the specialists in various areas, because you might need it. If you have something like, for me, for a long time, because I had this as a kid and we didn't diagnose this until I was like 20. So it was a very tough childhood on that thing, and I got, that's a whole other thing. There was bullying involved. There was getting locked in the school bathrooms. It was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. But when I got older, basically they kept thinking, they couldn't figure out what it was, so I kept getting treated over and over and over for bladder infections that I didn't have. And until I hit a doctor who did the biopsy and cystoscopy. Yeah, and then we finally got on track, and then we've seen better doctors. And now, at least if you have a flare, there's a medicine that's like a strong azo called Pyridium. And if I go to an urgent care, they usually know to prescribe it. Whereas I'd been, like, when I first got diagnosed, sometimes you'd go to doctors and they'd literally stare at you and go like, the heck is that? What are you talking about? Bladder disorder. You know, they go, are you incontinent? No. What are you talking about? So, fortunately, that's gotten better. It's much more highly recognized. But, you know, if you think you might have some of the symptoms, it's definitely worth talking to someone, particularly a specialist. And if it turns out to be nothing, you know what? I go on it's better to have it checked out and have it be nothing than to ignore it and have it get worse and worse and worse. You know, you don't have to run to the doctor for every little sniffle, but when you're having symptoms consistently over months, or symptoms that come back and wane and come back and then go and then come back and then go, there's nothing wrong with seeking medical treatment. Please do. I'm going to put some links down for, there's a couple, there's, I think, yeah, ICA, and there's ICHelp.org. I don't know. I'll put it down in there, and yeah, so hopefully if you, or you have someone who's kind of been, you know, you've been noticing, or they've been complaining about pain, or, you know, frequency or whatever, you know, you can kind of direct them that way. And if you happen to meet someone who does, you have a little bit more idea of what it is, because it is really awkward to bring this kind of thing up in conversation. Like, you kind of need to know someone for a while before you tell them about your peeing habits, you know? So, you know, I don't walk up to people and be like, hey, I'm Jolie. I have interstitial cystitis. Because that would be a lot of, hey, you're crazy. I'm going over there. Anyway, if you watched this far, thank you so much. I'm going to skip to the tutorial for you. And I hope you enjoy watching the tutorial as well. And I will see you very, very soon. All right, let's do this, shall we? I'm running a sort of flesh tone color. This is Makeup Geek Beaches and Cream. Just in and above the crease, basically, to set down a base. Alright, just taking a small fluffier brush using Makeup Geek Moon Dust. That's going in, and again, just above the crease. So basically I go in like flat like this, get it in the crease, and then to blend it, we turn it the other way and go back and forth. I'm going to go in with one of the Makeup Geek foiled eyeshadows. This is Pegasus. It's a like aqua-y color. I know it's labeled as teal, but I am a butthead about what I think is teal, and this is aqua. I'm just using the finger and getting it pretty saturated on there and just getting it across most of the lid, at least 2/3 in. We're going to be putting a darker color right in the middle there. Work. Alright, I'm grabbing another one of those dense brushes. This one's in a pointed shape. And I'm going to get the ColourPop Coconut. This is a teal. This is a very dark teal. Well, this is a teal. It looks blue on camera right now, but you'll see it looks teal on my eyeball. Okay. This is going in the outer 2/3 and up into the crease a little bit more. So I am patting. I am not sweeping right away. I am patting this on into the shape, and that's why I use the tapered one. That's dense and synthetic, so I can really just push it onto the lid here. Excuse me, I was going out of frame. We're going to take an angled shadow brush. This one is from Real Techniques. It's on the fluffier side. And we're going to use a color from MAC called Club, which is a reddish brown with teal duochrome. So I really love playing with this with the teal colors because it's darker. I love putting this up in the crease for these. It has this reddish brown, and so it kind of warms it up, because if you use like all the grays and silvers, it can look good. But I don't know, I like introducing the warm brown shade. So again, I'm starting with this on its side and just getting it into the crease and out a little. And then just to get like the more color, again, we're going to hold it up and bring it above the teal a little bit more so you can see it. Okay, grabbing a pencil brush, I'm getting Sea Mist, also from Makeup Geek. This kind of ended up being a very Makeup Geek tutorial, and I'm just taking this all the way under my eye, my lower lash line, having a little bit of fallout. Why am I having such trouble? Hold on, there we go. You're in frame-ish. And this is like, it's a slightly greener sort of aqua-y teal, but it's a matte shade. So that's, I just wanted to get a little bit more texture going in here because it's a lot of shimmer. Shimmer, shimmer, shimmer going up in there. And then I'm just grabbing that same pencil brush and working some more of that Club. 2/3-ish in, I would say. There we go. Kind of connect it to the top. Alright, for liner, I'm grabbing Urban Decay's 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in Black Market. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm not going to do a wing, because we already kind of have that wing shape. So I'm going to do a slight wedge and really smudge it out with some black shadow, because I feel like we have enough drama. Why am I trying to do this in the camera viewfinder like an idiot? Alright, waterline 2. Oops. Holy cow, it's hard to do the waterline without looking way down. Okay. Little smudgy brush and some black shadow. I'm just using Black Market from Naked Smoky because why the heck not? Same color, may as well match, eh? You feel me? I'm just going to grab the Wet n Wild palette, Blue Had Me at Hello, but all you need is any sort of white-ish. Wow, that is not picking up. Just like a white, slightly shimmery shadow, and I'm just going to pop a little tiny bit in the inner corners. Any kind of shadow, white shadow would do for that, or even like a paler blue or a silver. I just decided to do white. I'm going to be using a conditioning lash primer from Monica Dar. I got this in Glossy Box, I believe. It's either one of those white lash primers. So what I'm going to do is use it on my upper eyelashes. And then, oops, I want to clump it. And then give that a second to set, and while I do that, I'm going to grab Perversion Mascara from Urban Decay. I'm just going to put a tiny bit on the lower lashes, and once I'm done that, I'll throw it on the top. Alright, let me clean up, face on, and catch you in just a moment. Okay. Alright guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I hope you enjoyed the crazy makeup, and I really appreciate you hanging around for the first part of the video and listening to me talk on and on and on about my bladder, which has got to be a very exciting topic for many of you, I'm sure, right? Right? Yeah. Anyway, I really appreciate you watching this. If you liked it, nice thumbs up, share it with your friends, share it with people who maybe have never heard of interstitial cystitis. It's not a fun one, you know, and I think the more we can get it out there, the more people know what it is. I think even the more people have the possibility of being diagnosed and then treated, which is important because it's kind of a tricky one. It's still not the most well known. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again very, very soon. Have a great one.